this one, Kosiam, is called The Friend. In primary school, our girl Zandile had two friends, Lihle and Asanda. For some reason, Lihle was always fainting. Whether they were at school, whether they were at home playing, out of the blue, she would just faint. Asanda, on the other hand, Zandile suspected of being possessed. One random day, Asanda comes out of her house carrying a fruit that was reddish orange, something really exotic that none of the kids had ever seen anywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it was probably something like a pomegranate or something like that, which is still rare, even in South Africa, especially in the hood. They're in a township. Yeah? All the kids obviously go crazy. You would also go crazy if you saw something that you'd never seen before and it's edible and you want to eat it. But Asanda says, no, everybody relax. This is specifically for Uzandi. She brought it for her. When she moves towards Uzandi to give her the fruit, Uzandi starts crying. Right? She's screaming. She's like, no, like, I don't want it. Asanda is trying to force her to take a bite of this fruit. And so when Zandi refuses to take a bite of the fruit,
Asanda's voice changes.
It changes and becomes something else completely. And she insists ukuthi Uzandi must eat this fruit, to the extent of even holding her neck and opening her mouth to forcefully feed the fruit to her. Fortunately, Uzandi is able to break free and she runs all the way home. The very next day, Asanda invites about 6 or 7 of the neighborhood kids to her house. What are they going to do at the house? They are going to meditate. Because what do kids know about meditation? Maybe now, like in more recent times, yes. But this is some time back, right? This is the early 2000s, the story is set in. So Asanda says everybody is coming over there to meditate. So she tells them to close their eyes. They all close their eyes. They do as they're told. While their eyes are closed, Asanda is chanting in a foreign language that none of them can recognize. While they are sitting there with their eyes closed, listening to Asanda chanting in a foreign language, all of them find themselves in a place where they can see trees all around them. In the distance, so the trees are sort of surrounding them here close by, and then in the distance, they could see a seashore. Mind you, all of them are seeing the same thing, yes? I don't think even Ukuthwala can achieve that one. That's crazy for a kid to be able to do that. Ooh, go Sam, the story. So while they're there, when Uzandi takes a closer look in between the trees, she notices that there are things that are sitting in cages amongst the trees. When Asanda realizes that Zandi is panicking, she says to her, hey, close your eyes, like we're not done here. Right? She's getting upset. And Zandi is like, you know what? I don't want to be part of this. Kosiami, I'm good. Right? So she takes herself back home, and that's the end of the meditation session. She's a smart cookie. She tells her guardians, so the people who are responsible for her, hey, the girl down the street is up to some really weird things, right? She made us do this, and that. And her guardians peep the danger, so they pray over her to boost her protection so that she's not spiritually vulnerable, because they're not always going to be there to watch what's going on with her and the other kids. So the very same night that her guardians pray over her, Zandi has an out-of-body experience. She is watching herself wake up out of the bed She is watching herself unlock her own bedroom door, then unlock the main door to the house and go outside into the street. When she is outside in the street, she sees that all the kids are all playing, but the time is exactly the same as where she's sleeping. It's 1 a.m. She sees all the children in the streets playing outside at 1 a.m. And then she tries to exit her gates. When she tries to exit her gates, she sees Asanda standing in front of her. And Asanda says,
"Don't go outside. I need you to turn around and go back inside. Get back in your body and sleep."
She also says, "I'm telling you this because you don't know how hard I have to fight to not take you with me every time I am told to bring you."
"Please, Zandile, turn around and go back inside the house."
When Zandi wakes up the next day, she wakes up with dirt on her feet. She is exhausted. She is shook. Not only that, her eyes couldn't open, so her eyes were swollen shut. So her guardians, being the loving caretakers that they are, prayed over her again. And when they did, she started to feel better. She started being able to see. She moved on from that experience. So the following week at their school, a pastor is invited to come and perform an exorcism. Squad Sabomanier. It never makes sense to me, because what makes you decide that an exorcism is required? Right? Maybe somebody had reported some incidents or some chaos going on in Ngazi, but I just find it odd because these are kids. Anyway, so the pastor shows up, the exorcism begins. Kids are screaming, kids are crying, it's a whole mad scene. And then the friend, Ulihle, does what she does best, and she's fainting all over the place. So while the pastor is performing this exorcism, he instructs the kids not to open their eyes. Don't they always? Don't they always? But Uzandi is a smart cookie. She's like, nah, I need to take a look. She opens her eyes, and when she opens her eyes, she sees Asanda teleporting from standing behind her to being at the school gate to standing outside the classroom. So she starts to get scared, and she decides to close her eyes right back up again. So after that, everybody goes to their classes. The pastor then tells Uzandi to go and fetch Asanda. So that's the reason I'm saying maybe somebody had reported that something is going on, in which case it's valid. When Zandi gets to the class that Asanda was in, Asanda has the whole class, including the teacher, standing in the corner of the classroom, scared shitless. And she's just watching them. She's just looking at them. Of course, when Zandi shows up, she's terrified. She doesn't know what to do. But she does as she's told, and she says, "Asanda, the pastor is asking for you. Nox, please, you need to stay for this one. Please, you need to stay for this one, right? You'll sleep later. Isn't an exorcism somewhat of a last resort? How is that the first step without diagnosis? Thank you." Because why don't they come to the school, call Zandi and say, "Hey, Wena, what's going on with you?" She starts climbing walls, right? Now we can book in for an exorcism. But off the bat, But then again, you never know. Maybe things were really crazy. They just decided this is a last resort. Because Sana, if she's backing up the whole class and the teacher into a corner, I'm also calling the pastor there, Shem. Yeah. Straight up. Without a word, Asanda follows Zandi outside the classroom. Zandi is terrified. As they're walking, everything slows down. Zandi says it felt to her like it took them almost 30 minutes to walk to where they were going. She couldn't understand why it was taking so long. It was so abnormal. They're just not getting to the class. Can you imagine how weird that is? They're just walking. So when Zandi realizes that this is going on, that they've been walking for almost 30 minutes and they're just not arriving at the class, and she's scared, she starts to pray silently in her head, right? Because she doesn't want young Asanda to hear her. And when she's praying in her head, eventually they then get to the class where the pastor and some of the teachers are waiting for them. When they get to the classroom, Asanda is carrying a notebook. On the cover of the notebook, the initials are LC. So the teachers and the pastor start interrogating Zandi and Asanda, asking, what does this mean? Like, what do these initials stand for? Of course, Zandile has no idea what it means. She starts crying because she's being accused of knowing things that she doesn't know. Asanda is not saying anything. She's not answering anything. She's just standing there. So they decide to open the notebook.